Well guys, the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 is officially dead, kaput, rest in peace, or as Samsung would put it, permanently discontinued. I'm sure most of you already know what happened with it. There were several reports of the Galaxy Note 7 just catching on fire, the battery exploding, and then not only that, they issued a recall and a replacement that was supposed to fix the issue, but apparently it did not. So now they just gave up and they're recalling all of them and they're not making any more. Now with these lithium battery fires, they're actually a big deal. You might not think so, but lithium fires are notoriously dangerous. They basically have the battery shooting out jets of fire and they are extremely difficult to put out. A normal ABC fire extinguisher that you typically see might not be able to extinguish it, because a lithium battery fire is actually a Class D metal fire. So to properly extinguish one, you would need something like a copper powder fire extinguisher, which is a Class D fire extinguisher specifically designed for lithium fires. And let me tell you, those are not cheap. They're like 500 bucks. And actually using water will probably make it even worse because the water reacts with the lithium and creates hydrogen, which is obviously very flammable. So you can probably imagine it's very important that these types of things don't catch on fire and why they took this so seriously. As a matter of fact, if you've flown on an airline recently, you probably know that before you even get on the plane, they announce that the Note 7 has been recalled, and if you have a Note 7, before you get on the plane, you have to turn it off and not charge it while on the flight, because if this very difficult to control fire starts on a plane, that would be a bit of an issue. Now, I think this is definitely gonna have a lot of consequences for Samsung, at least in the short term. I mean, if it was a one-time thing where there was an issue with the battery and they came out and said, look, there was this issue, we recalled it, we're replacing it, and that was it, okay, that's one thing. But when they issue a fix and they say, oh, it's fixed now, and then it's not, that is pretty scary. Because this is going to call into question everything going forward that they do. Look at the next phone, the S8. How do we know that's not gonna have the same exact issue? Because obviously they thought it was fixed and it wasn't. Maybe they can't figure out what the problem really is. It's definitely gonna cause some suspicion. However, I don't think you can hate Samsung too much for this. At least they fessed up and did the recall pretty quickly. You look at another company like Apple, who is notorious in not acknowledging hardware defects. You got Error 53, which they said was the customer's problem. They wouldn't fix it until the media started raging at them. Then you got this new touch disease thing, which they're not acknowledging. They're just putting it off on the customers. That's a big deal. Maybe Apple would have waited longer, and that's just basing it off their previous behavior. Now, to be fair, this was a safety issue, so I would think that Apple, if it was a real safety issue, would be very quick to acknowledge it. Though, as I said, the one thing that definitely does hurt my trust for Samsung is that they said they fixed it and they didn't, which is a problem, no doubt. I'd be curious to see why they thought it was fixed. Perhaps they did fix it, but some of the batches got the old battery somehow. Maybe it was a mistake with that, because I did hear that the new replacement batteries were only exploding in Korea. I don't know if that's still the case, so maybe it was just a batch that somehow got the old battery, but still, that's definitely an issue. As for Samsung itself, this definitely isn't a kill shot. It's gonna hurt them big time, but they'll survive it. Apparently, their market cap in the stock market dropped about $17 billion, so that's probably gonna take a while to recover. But stock price aside, it turns out that their Q3 earnings hadn't suffered at all. In fact, their profits actually went up. Remember, Samsung doesn't just make phones, so their other departments probably kept it afloat and recovered whatever the phones might have lost by doing well. But it's not like they're just losing profits on sold phones. They have to eat the costs of the research and development on the phone, the marketing, the manufacturing, the design, and the recall costs. So it's basically much worse than if they just didn't sell the phones. So even though Samsung hasn't seen a huge drop in revenue so far, that might change in Q4, especially with the holiday season coming up. People might go to another phone manufacturer, especially Apple. As for what I think, well, I don't really know yet. I mean, I have a Galaxy S7 and they've been doing fine, haven't had any issues apparently. But when the Galaxy S8 comes out, if I were to get one, I might hold off a bit to see if they, explode. I do think Samsung is definitely gonna have to play this smart. I think they should go over exactly what the issue was and show that they fixed it to prove that this isn't gonna happen again. If they can do that and demonstrate and show you why this issue is fixed exactly, I think it'll help. Because like I mentioned before, I think I do trust Samsung itself as a company. They recalled the phone, they demonstrated that they do want to put the customer first. But going forward, at least for a while, I will be suspicious of their hardware. And I will be definitely interested to see how this plays out, especially next year with the S8 coming out, or even the next Note version. And who knows, maybe in the end this will be good for us if they decide to perhaps introduce some awesome killer features to make up for it and make people want to buy it again. I know for me, if they released a truly epic phone, I'd be willing to trust it, especially considering this time around, they're gonna have a lot more time to fix any issues. They'll have several more months between the Note 7 and the S8, as opposed to when they tried to fix and rush out the Note 7 replacement. Though I would be interested to hear what you guys think and whether you trust Samsung over this. Maybe you had a Note 7 and you're never gonna buy one again. Maybe you even had one that exploded, I don't know. So those are all just my thoughts, but you guys can let me know down in the comments section what you think. If you guys did like this video though, be sure to give it a thumbs up so I know you enjoyed it. And if you want to subscribe, I make new videos like this, news and reviews, 3 times a week, so it should be worth it. And if you want to keep watching, I'll put some other videos right here. You can just click on those. Even if you're on a phone, it's a new type of annotation. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Let me know what you think. You can let me know down in the comments section or on Twitter as well. So as usual, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.